Hello everyone. Back at the beginning of the year, I was turning my house upside down trying to find something. I'm a bit of a hoarder and I'm not particularly well organised or tidy. And it took me a long time to find what I was looking for, but in the process of doing that, I came across these two old games which were intended for the Amiga, the Commodore Amiga. And I used to have an Amiga. I got rid of it a long time ago when I moved home. So nearly 20 years ago now. And I got rid of all the games, everything. I think they're just, they went to the tip. But for some reason, I kept two games that I was particularly fond of, and these are they. As I say, I came across them in my boxes of long forgotten items and things, and I don't know why I kept them because well, I do know why I kept them. It's because I was so fond of them, but really that it was a futile kind of gesture, because having got rid of the Amiga, there was no way I was ever going to be able to play them again. By that stage, I'd moved on to despite my fairly mature years, even in those days, I was really big into these kind of games, and I'd moved on to a PlayStation 1, and then started playing games on my laptop. Anyway, more of that later. But there was no way I was going to be able to play these two games again. But I just love them so much that I wanted to keep them. But of course, having now found them again, I thought I would explore the possibilities of getting hold of an Amiga again. Just to tell you a little bit about these games, though, they weren't sort of typical Amiga games that you think of, like Monkey Island and Lemmings and all that kind of thing. These were actually compiled by a chap you may recall called Peter Turkin, who was more kind of well known for games that he did of the Battle of Waterloo and the Battle of Austerlitz, and they were quite sophisticated for their time. Only the graphics, of course, left a lot to be desired, and in fact the Waterloo and Austerlitz looked very much like kind of Kriegspiel kind of games that you played on the screen. The units were all just blocks, coloured blocks that you moved around the screen. Good fun though, nevertheless. But these two were naval games, and as I say, I was particularly fond of these, and the graphics. I'm trying to find an image of the graphics were a little bit more realistic. You could land troops and so on. The whole idea, if you were playing the Spanish side, was to land a Spanish army on the coast somewhere and successfully kind of invade England. Sorry, a bit of glare on there but as you can see, the infantry was still blocks, but the ships themselves were fairly well portrayed with sails and all that kind of thing. No sound, but there were kind of visuals like shells, not shells, cannon shot, falling in the water, and sails and masts coming down and that kind of thing. And very, very cumbersome from the modern point of view, in that you had to kind of type your orders in at the bottom of the screen, and then the turn would play out. You get a kind of zoom out again here. You get a map of the whole area of the campaign. It starts off in Plymouth, and the British fleet are kind of chasing the Armada all the way down to beyond the Isle of Wight. I did only once manage to successfully land an army on the Isle of Wight and capture Carisbrooke Castle and so on. That's another nice thing, that the actual ground, there's fortifications on land that can actually fire at the ships and so on. So it was a really, really absorbing game, and I was really fond of it. And as I say, it really put me in mind of trying to get hold of an Amiga or some kind of alternative and play these games again. But the other one, which was a kind of an upgrade really from the Armada, was this fantastic game called Dreadnoughts. Now, I'm trying to find, this actually had much better graphics, and it had sound as well, so you could hear the shells, flying through the air and splashing into the water or hitting ships and so on. But the actual mechanisms were similar in that you'd had to type a lot of orders in. There were kind of shortcuts and coded words, as it were, that would allow you to sort of shorten your sentences and so on. And there were ways, if I remember rightly, you could click on ships using the mouse and get views in them that way. There was a sort of telescope. Again, I apologise, there isn't really much to show you in the way of graphics, but maybe there will be, as I say, more on that later. But this game came with a couple of expansions as well. I think I had to send off, might have even been to America to get these, but the Dreadnoughts was the basic game, but they also had some expansions called Bismarck was one. Excuse me while I try and find them. Maybe they're in here. Yeah, they're in here. Bismarck and Ironclads. Now, that sort of extended. You were actually refighting historical battles, and that extended it to not only the First World War, but the Russo-Japanese War, the Sino-Japanese War. And you can see the kind of level of sort of detail of some of the battles laid out here. This is the Battle of the Yellow Sea, which is the Russo-Japanese War. Oh, and it's also the same area as the Battle of the Yalu, which was the Sino-Japanese War. On that side, you've got the Battle of Tsushima. Yeah, what's on this one? Oh, this is the First World War part. So, oh no, Second World War as well. You got Hood and the Prince of Wales fighting the Bismarck. That must be the Bismarck. Must be that must be the Second World War expansion. I was thinking for a minute that it was taking you back to sort of the 19th century Bismarck, but no, I remember now. So I've got masses of stuff here, and I was really it really put me in mind of. There's a sort of a screenshot. It shows you what the images were like that you got on the screen. So nothing like the sort of Atlantic Fleet or World of Warships or anything like that. The sort of naval games that you can play on the computer now. But I find those games, to my mind, they're although the graphics are fantastic, ships are just portrayed in minute detail and all that kind of thing. I just find, zipping around islands and hiding behind islands and all that kind of thing. It's just not my idea of naval gaming. So I just really sort of look back with this kind of game with nostalgia. Hold on here, what's this? Oh yeah, this is First World War. So you've got the Battle of Coronel there in the top right hand corner. I think that's Dogger Bank, I'm not sure. Battle of Falklands. I think this one is down the bottom. It's got the same area as the map for the Armada, and I think that's a sort of hypothetical battle. Not entirely sure. And then on the other side, of course, you've got Jutland. So you can play some really massive games with it. It used to take me hours and hours, weeks sometimes, to complete the game. Anyway, to get on with this, the point of this video, I had in mind to, as I say, to try and get hold of an Amiga at some point and play these games again. Wasn't in any particular hurry, so it wasn't something I'd rushed at. As I say, this all cropped up at the beginning of the year, but I've had it in the back of my mind ever since I found these to get hold of an Amiga. But in the meantime, I really began to get that sort of nostalgic kind of yearning for retro gaming, sort of computer games in the 90s and that, and got a bit of a kind of bug for it. Been watching things like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, there's a series on Dave called Dara O'Brien Goes 8-Bit, where he has sort of celebrity contestants on each week, and they compete at various old games from Nintendo and Amiga and things like that. So that sort of whetted my appetite as well. So I have still retained. I did bring from my previous abode my PlayStation and all the games I had for PlayStation. So I've got that out and I've been playing games with that, and really enjoying that. The one I'm into at the moment is this Formula One 1997 racing game, which I'm playing each night. I'm sort of taking part in the sort of championship for the year, playing a different race each night, and it's really exhausting. You have to be, sort of completely engaged and concentrate on it. One lapse of concentration and you're off the racetrack and things like that. So, you sweat and you can feel your blood pressure going up. So it's not particularly healthy pastime. Staying up late at night playing that.
The drivers are lined up on the grid now, preparing themselves for the start. The red lights are beginning to come on. Go! They fly off the grid towards turn one. That's down, he's lost first. He's hit Michael Schumacher. Good stuff. He's gained second place. That was a superb start. He's just hit Frenson.
This year all the teams have lowered the driving seat to try and combat the turbulence caused by the driver's helmet, which reduces the efficiency of the air intake into the engine. Another benefit they hope to see will be better handling of the car due to the lower centre of gravity.
Now he's in first place.
So that's the one I'm doing at the moment, but I've got a load of others. I'll show you those two for the moment. This one actually comes with a light gun, you know, so you get targets coming up on the screen. It's like a shooting competition, and you have to shoot balloons or targets or whatever. Couldn't get the gun to work, but I've since discovered that it's probably because TV screens have altered now and TV images have altered, and you know, the gun isn't compatible with my TV screen, rather than the gun having, you know, failed over the decades. So I've got a solution in mind to that problem, to be able to use the gun again. Tomb Raider, of course, the original classic Tomb Raider. This one was from the Command and Conquer series. It's Dune, Story of Dune. Really good, really good. But one of the games I regret having got rid of on the Amiga was a game called Dune 2, which was the forerunner. You know, it came from the same stable as the Command and Conquer series of games, and I used to really love that. More kind of playable, I thought, and better graphics than it was actually on this. Because the PlayStation 1 isn't controlled by a mouse, I find it a bit harder using the kind of you know, the sort of PlayStation controls to play this game, so I got more satisfaction out of the Amiga, but this is very good nonetheless. World Cup 98, I actually remember we had a kind of at work, we had a sort of presentation theatre, I suppose you'd call it, room at work, and I used to take this in. I used to take my PlayStation into work sometimes in the evenings, and the staff, you know, all had a team each, and we were playing the World Cup 98 in that. I think I was Austria, but we never managed to complete it because we got told off basically for using the facilities, so we got turfed out the room. Resident Evil 2, classic game, absolute classic. Tenchu, Stealth Assassins, this was a good game, used to enjoy creeping around trying to complete missions and assassinate people and so on. Final Fantasy 8. That was a epic to do. Syndicate Wars, I've got this on, what have I got it on? Oh no, this was a really good game on the Amiga, but not so, you know, it didn't come across so well on the PlayStation. So again, it's a game that I regret having got rid of on the Amiga. Tenchu 2, that was quite good as well, but not as good as the original Tenchu. Anyway, so what I thought I would do, having successfully revived my PlayStation 1 and playing games on it, is I thought I would begin a new series on, you know, on the theme of retro gaming, and film some of my games, maybe, you know, for people to watch. I mean, some of them are obviously not going to be very visually kind of entertaining, but the racing game, I'm finding I'm recording some of the games via a DVD player, and and I'm finding that they're quite good when you play them back, watching the races. So I'm going to start my series by putting up the 1997 championship, one race at a time, just for your entertainment. But anyway, to get back to the Amiga, by pure coincidence, around the time that I thought I would, think about getting an Amiga and not really knowing how to go about it, a shop opened in Plymouth. Well, it had been open for a short while, about 6 months, but there was an article on it in the local newspaper, and it's called Revival Games, and they're just out of town on the sort of east side of the town. And I thought, well, I must get over there. I'll wait until lockdown's finished, and I must go over there and just have a chat with the guy, have a look at the shop, see what he's got in there. Because he, on his website, he did put that, he stocked Amiga games and things, and he got hardware and consoles and stuff like that in as well that he sold on. So I had it in mind to go over there and just have a chat with him. And then a couple of days ago, he's got a Facebook presence as well. Not that I belong to Facebook, but you can see his posts on his website, his shop's website, and he posted up that there's about to be released at the beginning of next year a sort of little mini Amiga. So it's a sort of retro console, if you like. It caught my attention because the image of it actually had a floppy disk drive on the side of it. So I thought, I wonder if it would be possible to put old Amiga games into that, play Amiga games that way. But I went over there. I went over to his shop on Wednesday, having seen this latest post. I thought, well, yeah, I've got to sort of do something about this itch now. And he said that the floppy, it's just a sort of representative. It's just meant to look like a Commodore Amiga, and the floppy disk drive won't be actually a functioning one, and the console itself is going to be a lot smaller than the original. The keyboard is going to be a lot smaller than the original Amiga anyway. And basically with that, you can download games, ROM or ROM, and then using a memory stick for the USB port, plug them into this new mini version. So it doesn't kind of solve my issue of how to be able to play these games again. So the only thing is, and he agreed, is to get hold of a Commodore Amiga. But again, just by pure chance, he had one in that day. He hadn't actually. It was on the. He'd just taken out of his car, and it was on the shop floor. Hadn't even removed it from the box. Now I was quite tempted to buy it, except that it was just the power supply and the keyboard, and not much else with it. And I was under the impression that he sold these things on having reconditioned them and refurbished them, but he said no, sometimes they're even broken, when he sells them, but he sells them on to people who then tinker with them, who are into restoring old systems and so on, and they get their hobby fun that way. So I haven't got the skill to be able to do that. I want a sort of quick fix solution, so that wasn't, it wasn't for me to buy that. But he said look on eBay and see what you can find, and I did find a Commodore Amiga for sale that has been, well, at the least cleaned and given a a makeover, and I'm assured that it's working by the seller. So I plumped for that, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But in this Revival Games shop, he's got loads of other games. So while I was over there, I bought a couple more games for the PlayStation 1. No idea what they're going to be like, but one was the Alien, 3 games here, Alien Trilogy, which I thought I would give a go. And this one is a kind of sci-fi space battle kind of thing that looked interesting. So I've got those to add to my collection as well now. All these games, as I was saying about the Amiga, I mean, they just don't sort of cut the mustard with modern gamers' requirements nowadays. They're quite, the graphics are very kind of blocky and slow, and then they haven't got sort of photorealism about them. But I just love that kind of look and feel to them. But anyway, to get back to my pursuit of the Commodore Amiga, I only bought it, paid for it yesterday, and it arrived today. And I won't show you it at the moment. It's literally just come through the door about an hour ago. So I haven't really been able to inspect it or try it, plug it in or anything like that. I'm hoping that the only thing it hasn't got is a screen. So I'm hoping that my TV is going to kind of be compatible with it. Otherwise, I'm sure I'll be able to get a screen for it from this Revival Games shop. But it not only came with the power supply and all the appropriate cables, and the keyboard obviously, but it had a mouse, it had a joystick, which I remember having a joystick with the Amiga, because there were quite a lot of, I had a Battle of Britain game that I used to love playing, and a Stealth Fighter game that I loved as well. But it also came with hundreds of discs of games. Now, I wasn't really, I didn't have very high expectations of the games that would be on these discs. Most Amiga games weren't really my kind of cup of tea. But there are a few in here. I've looked through them all, and there are a few that I had. Lemmings being a particularly good one. So there are a few in here that I recognise, that I can remember, and I'll look forward to playing again. There's a few. There's quite a lot of discs that used to come free with magazines. So they have samplers on them rather than the entire game sometimes. So they will be all right, but nothing spectacular. But there's quite a lot in here that I've just been sort of like browsing the internet to see what they might be like, and there are some in here that I think are going to be quite appealing. A lot that I don't recognise at all. I can imagine how awful they are. Some that SimCity, see, that's one that I obviously know of and have heard of, that I've never actually played. That Doom, Hell on Earth, God knows what that is. So I've got all this to give a go as well. So anyway, I've probably gone on long enough. So this video is just to introduce you to a new playlist on my channel, which I'm going to call Retro Gaming. And I'm really hoping that I'll be able to get particularly that Dreadnoughts game running on the Amiga, and also be able to record a lot of the games so that I can recreate historic naval battles on screen for your entertainment. But in the meantime, the first things that you will find on the channel, I'll probably put them up at sort of sort of intervals, will be all the races from 1997, where I replace Jacques Villeneuve in the Williams, and take on the likes of Michael Schumacher and his brother Ralph, and Jean Alesi, and Johnny Herbert and Damon Hill. They're all there, trying their best to get past me. So that'll be the next thing you'll see on this playlist. Okay, so looking forward to it, and hope you are too, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.